and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Thank you for coming back. If you're a returning angel, if you're new here, please press the subscribe button. It would mean a lot to me. Today I'm bringing you another story time video. We quite enjoyed my last two, apparently, so I'm bringing you another one. Today is, again, a bit of a personal one, but I think it might help some of you guys. It basically stems from my Precious Papa YouTube video, so if you want to go back and watch that one about how I nearly lost my dad, this basically stems on from that particular video, so it really does help if you know the background on that. But basically the background on that is that my dad nearly died. He broke his neck and his back. He was in hospital for around half a year and basically living with the consequences now. And I was 11 when it happened, and I basically got I don't know what you call it, a disorder, a condition, I don't really know what it is, but I was through a transition of primary school and secondary school, and I suffered with severe OCD, which, for those who don't know, is obsessive compulsive disorder. And I haven't really talked about it to a lot of people, and I just, I'm a little bit shy about doing this video. I'm quite an open person, but I am a little bit shy about doing this one. Just purely because I don't really talk about it in general to my friends and stuff. I'll say, oh yeah, I've got a bit OCD and that winds me up and that winds me up. But at this moment in my life, it was really, really bad. Now, I have OCD over silly little things, and I actually can tell myself not to do them. But at this moment in my life, it was really, really bad. I had no control over it, and for a period of time, it really got me down. But at that period in my life, everything else got me down more so. So I didn't really see the effects of this until after. So it started when my dad had his accident. There was little things that I'd never experienced before that I started doing, things that I felt compelled to do, whereas before I probably wouldn't even have acknowledged them or even thought about doing them in the first place. But I lived with my grandparents when my dad went into hospital because my mum had to be away all the time. I was 11 and my sister was 7, I think, and we basically lived in this house with my grandparents, and that's when my OCD really, really took off as such, got really, really bad. And when I moved into this house a couple of months ago, it got bad again, and I then realised why, because I was in the place that it kind of got at its worst, and I don't know if something triggered my mind into thinking I needed to do certain things again once I came here. But I'm not in the same room that I was as a child, and I think that really does help, because that room was very much associated in my brain with a bad time in my life. Even though I lived this house and absolutely love the room as well now, I thought when I lived in that room, I thought I wouldn't have a father. I now live in this house with my father, and I think that makes a massive difference, and I have to tell myself each and every time that I feel like these things are coming and happening to me. I make it sound like some things I don't have people talking to me, I'm not schizophrenic, or I think that's what you call it, but it was pretty much someone telling me to do something or something would happen. So at the age of 11, I basically would, with a lot of people, obsessive compulsive disorder relates to numbers or events and things that they feel they need to do, align something up on the remote control, touch all the even numbers or something like that. Mine always had a consequence, and I would need to touch a plug socket at 3 a.m. or my dad would die. My dad was in a very critical state at one point, and it was like I just didn't know anything, didn't know the answers, and I felt like I had no control. And by doing this, I had some control, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense, but in my mind, everything made sense. And the plug sockets at 3 a.m. was real, and the door handles. I had to touch plug sockets, I had to touch door handles, I had to check on people in my family all the time. I would creep across to my grandparents and just touch their door, and it would be like making sure that they're safe. I would say to my sister every night before we went to sleep, you can like, oh, she will remember these times. I would be like, are you eating anything? Is there anything in your mouth? Have you got chewing gum in your mouth? And then sometimes, because I would worry that she'd stop breathing, and then sometimes I go up to her and like shake her and be like, are you awake? Are you breathing? Like, are you okay? Are you alive? And all these things were like, she didn't understand. She was just like, oh yeah, of course I am. Go back to sleep. Like, but with my mind, it was like everyone around me, something bad was going to happen. Like, I'd lost my dad at that moment in time. Obviously, I hadn't actually lost him altogether, but to me, I'd lost him, and I wanted to prevent it from happening again, or prevent anything worse from happening. I used to have these like things that came over me, and it would be usually at night time when thoughts would come into my mind, and I'd be thinking about things and washing my hands. I now have like severe, like just horrible, ugly hands basically, and sore patches and areas and stuff because I pick and nibble when I get anxious, and like they're really dry and scabby from like basically, well, I think it's eczema now, but I think it was brought on by the fact that I used to wash my hands all the time. Like I used to just make sure like I was just washing them multiple times a day. It just made me feel better for some reason. At one time I had very much like touching objects, so say this was on my bedside table, I would have this feeling come over me, and it would say to me, it was like a little voice in my mind, but not like it wasn't a person talking to me. Like I wasn't like insane as such, even though it was like kind of a disorder. But I would tell myself, if I didn't touch the top of this 3 times, and it'd never be 3 times, it would be 5. So that's how much I can remember. Then my dad would get worse, would die, would, you know, if I don't do this, your dad's going to die. Like it was literally like that, like, and I'd physically have to do something. I couldn't think something and then put it in like another part of my mind. I couldn't do that. Like now I can push it aside, put it in a place in my mind and get on with my day. Like I literally had to physically get up and do something. I had to get out of bed, I had to go to that place, I had to touch that something, I had to do that movement. Like it sounds like really, really insane, but I had like 2 objects that I tried to put all my emotions into, and I would touch these objects like several times, and I'd count and I'd pray upon it, and I'd just repeat it a million times over, and it would keep me awake at night. It would make me late for events. I remember being late for school all the time, and when my mum eventually came home, she'd be shouting up the stairs like, what are you doing, what are you doing? And I would literally be just touching these objects multiple of the time, and I'd be like, I can't do it, and I need to do it before I go, or else something else is going to happen to Dad, like, or one of my family. Like I literally felt like I had to do these things to stop something else from happening. It got worse before it got better. I had a lot of help from my nan, because she has suffered from it in the past too, which kind of made me feel like less alone in the subject. I didn't know it until like I suffered from it, and then she told me about it. And then yeah, basically I got like little strategies in my mind to help me with that. And at different times in my life, it got worse. So like, say when I went to 6th form, I didn't enjoy it ever so much, and it got worse again. And like just like moving into this house, like moving into the house that I lived in when my dad was in that situation, it got worse again. So like sometimes I have like a flare up, I suppose you'd call it, or a season of like it being bad, and I think it is related to stress and anxiety of like things that remind me of that situation. But I'm very much in tune with it now. Like if I'm compelled to do something, I step back before I do it. I'm like, why am I doing that? What is the reason behind it? Is it actually going to make a difference? If it's a little something to put my mind at ease, I just do it. If it's a big thing and I'm like, why on earth? Like, I'm very much a believer in like, is this fate? Like, is this supposed to happen? Am I supposed to think this? Am I supposed to do this? And sometimes that kind of mixes in with the OCD and I don't really know what to think. But yeah, my mum's been like pretty bad with her fibromyalgia lately, and like sometimes I can feel myself trying to do things to stop that getting worse, and I know deep inside that I can't actually do anything about it. Like, I'm just doing these things that seriously is touching a door handle going to save someone's life. No. And I know that and I can tell myself that, but when you're physically like compelled to do something, it's really hard not to. And someone else's life is on that, not your own, so it's even harder not to not do it. So yeah, I've basically improved a lot since then. I have been to like little I think at sixth form I did like a few counselling sessions. Yeah, I think it was sixth form. And basically me and my mum and my nan really helped me and just put it all together and just made a plan in my mind and had my mind structured in a way that helped me. And now I find that mentally I'm very much like a structured person. Of course, I love my lists, I love my cleaning. I know I've got OCD, but it's a very different form and it's very like structured and just put in like a place rather than being erratic all over and not actually making sense. Now I make sense of my own mind, and I think that's what you have to do. You have to get clarity on what's right, what's wrong, what's really going to help, what's not going to help. My favourite thing is to do is make lists, and that's because I love making a list on, you know, what's going to work, what's not going to work, the clarity to help me get through, you know, the days, the weeks, the bad season, the experience that I'm occurring at that moment in time. And yeah, they're kind of like my own personal strategies that I've used, and I'm not really going to go into them because it's very personal, and I just wanted to speak about it and just let people know that, you know, if you're suffering something like this, a disorder, a condition, like mental anxiety, anxiousness, anything along these lines, that you're not the only one. But I don't want to go too personal into it because they are, again, it is my privacy and I have a right to that privacy. Not everything is meant to be shared. But just to know you're not alone, and, you know, I might all be, you know, this bubbly, very excitable character, but we've all had bad times in our lives and we all can get through it. No matter what, you are so strong, and I, like, it's amazing when I think about the things that go on in my family. Like, every single one of us has something wrong with us. Like, that's just ridiculous. Like, come on, seriously. And we've all been through some tough times, but you get through it and you get stronger and you find a way to tackle those tiny little things, and they make massive margins. And yeah, just wanted to share that little story time with you. That's all I wanted to share. You know, you're not the only one. We're living with things, and you're not alone. You can get over this. You can get through this, more so, because you never get over something completely. I still have it a little bit, just not a lot, and when it gets worse, I know how to control it, and I think that's what it is. Controlling yourself, your body, your mind, and being happy and healthy is the way, and that's what I wanted to share on my channel. So yeah, I hope this helps some of you angels, and yeah, please leave some comments down below if you suffer from a similar thing or anything along these lines. And yeah, you're not alone, and we are all these happy angels together. So have a lovely Saturday evening, and thank you for watching. Much love, bye!